Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Phoenix Phenomenon. I'm your host, ghostwriter Roxanne McCarty-O'Kane. Thank you for joining us for another episode where we delve into the transformative process of becoming an author and talk to the change makers who know this journey all too well. Today, I'm joined by Joanne Wilson, who is also known as the Relationship Rejuvenator. She is the author of Renovate Your Relationship, which I've got a copy of right here. So Jo is a professional counsellor, neuropsychotherapist, author, speaker, radio co-host and podcaster, as well as being a mum and a wife. I don't know how you find time for it all. Jo is the founder of the Confidante Counselling private practice and created the Relationship Rejuvenator online resources and courses. Her book, which was released in June 2020, is described as a must-have for couples and families who may be very comfortable in their relationship or may be facing some challenges. So it runs the full gamut. So thank you so much for joining us, Jo. Appreciate your time today.
My pleasure. So excited to be here.
Excellent. So I've just, had a bit of a rundown on all of the many things that you do with your time. But I'd love for you to tell our listeners and viewers a little bit about yourself and how it was that you came into the realm of counselling, because it was an interesting journey for you.
It was, yeah. I guess way back when I was one of the lucky ones and raised in a very loving family. And a lot of their value system was around giving themselves for free and doing Meals on Wheels. And there was a lot of volunteering going in my family for the community. So that was my norm. And then I think just the pure fact of being the youngest of 5 children, I was a bit like a little mini David Attenborough, that I would be observing the dating and mating, well, maybe not mating, of my siblings. And my parents, by the time I came along, they were pretty experienced parents at that stage. So there wasn't too much room to move for any kerfuffles and misbehaviour. So I think just that journey, and it grew into a real fascination of observing human behaviour. That then led into my Qantas career that was in sales and corporate management. And I used to be quite almost fascinated when I'd have, a corporate client booming at me through the phone from Singapore when his, flight got cancelled, and I was supposed to fix it down there in Adelaide where I was working at the time. So it's kind of when I look back myself in my journey into counselling and psychotherapy, I think it was really grounded in that background. So just loving people, which is, the true essence of my being.
Absolutely. No, and I can just see you light up whenever you talk about your career and also about, the topics of the time that you get really passionate about. It's just beautiful to see.
I do. I get really passionate about my field of work, and I think that is just such a, when I'm working with clients, and just find your element, and I don't think that I did. Like, I'd honestly say when I was in sales, it wasn't really my true calling. Yes, you can develop. I felt that I was good at the role, but really I was really drawn to that helping sort of model of helping people. But passion is really the key to success, isn't it?
Absolutely, definitely. So one thing I didn't mention in my introduction for you, actually, which has now popped into mind, is that you're actually contributing quite regularly to a lot of publications as well. Regional as well as large city and national publications, which is amazing. So getting all of those incredible pearls of wisdom that you have out to the wider community.
Yeah, I've got so much to say on this topic. So I think that's as well where the book was born through just, I was almost a frustration that I could work with one couple at a time, which is what I do now. But just being able to, because I read so much about the topic and I'm constantly learning, like I'll never know everything about it. And I need to know where I start and where I end. And I refer to those other practitioners where I don't meet the needs, such as addictions or other certain things that I don't specialise in. But yeah, after writing for the Sunshine Coast Daily for 3 years, it kind of has really grown from there. So since the book has come to fruition, it's pretty cool that now I can write for some national publications. So who knows where it'll lead. So I'll be sure to share all those with you as they come out.
Excellent. No, that's perfect. And was there a particular catalyst that I guess planted the seed for you to become an author, to go on the book writing journey?
Well, I was already blogging on my website when I started the practice. So that was something that was good for me because it keeps me accountable and constantly learning. So, and then, of course, spreading the love and interacting with the community. I've always been really big on just supporting my local community as well and featuring other small businesses along the way. And then it just made complete sense. Well, a book was like a long time, like in the future on the horizon as a dream. It kind of came a lot quicker because I was writing for the paper, and I actually had a couple of people just say, you'd be mad if you're not actually putting this into a book. And so it kind of went from there. So I wouldn't actually say that, oh, wow, it was all me and my idea. It really took some encouraging and some nudging from a few key people in my life. So, yeah, that helped.
Yeah, I think that's probably more common than you think it is, actually. It's other people, yeah, just kind of pointing out how great their content is or how amazing their knowledge or lived experience is for people to, I guess, take ownership of it almost and realize how amazing it is.
Yeah, and I think I'm like anybody else, and particularly the clients that you work with, there's just so much self-doubt. Like it's always a constant pushing past the fear and making sure that you do know your true worth. And that's a daily event in the counselling room, and that's what I'm working with. And yeah, I'm just like the rest of them, and I really have to make sure that I keep that insurance plan to ensure that my mindset is in a place that does know my true worth, and it does continue to make me motivated to keep going. Because yeah, we tend to sadly default to the opposite. Like every day I'm dealing with I'm not good enough. So yeah, it's frustrating, but yeah, I get it.
Absolutely. And do you mind sharing some of your tools? I'm delving into your professional expertise here, but I get not enough, my story's not amazing, who's going to listen? Like, who am I to write a book? Obviously you had some of those thoughts yourself. So what are some tools that we could share with, aspiring authors to help them get over those humps?
Well, one thing that's really a line that's helped me personally is that if I don't do it, someone else will. That, like, what speaks to me, and that might not speak to anyone else, but it just makes sense. I was like, well, that's true. Well, I've got the tools and the skills, so I might as well do it. I'm really passionate about my field, so I might as well write it. But from a counselling perspective, a really helpful tool is just making sure that you are aware of what you're saying to yourself about yourself all day long. So that's a real, that's 10 sessions in itself is, just making sure it doesn't have to be 10 sessions, but that's where we kind of start, is that working out, just being aware when you're doing the dishes, when you get up in the morning, is it an I can't mindset? And so really making sure that, is it positive? Is it nurturing? Is it true what you're saying to yourself? Because you'll have one person who doesn't email you back. You'll have, 3 people at primary school who might have said something that horrible about you. And unfortunately, those stick. You could have had an ex-partner who put you down, and they're the ones that we really have to fight past those thoughts or those words that have been spoken to us. We can really take on board what one person has said, and it can really, you knock yourself on the hammer with that word. So that's, just one major tip is to check in on your little personal newsreel.
Excellent. I love that. And I guess talking about, daily thought processes and keeping it positive, was there a particular ritual that you had in mind, like linked to your book as you were going through the process? Because, it is a long haul process to get all the way through to completed book. Was there anything in particular that you dedicated your time to or your thoughts to in relation to your book?
When you said it's a long haul, I was actually shocked. I'm personally, one of my downfalls is everything takes longer than I actually think it does. So every day I'm fighting with myself that I think I could fit that much in. And so that was a real shock to me, is that, okay, I had these time frames and I'd constantly get frustrated because I wouldn't meet my own time frames, or I was, one major thing was realizing how many people it takes to make a book. Like, from those amazing women that I asked, in my target market readers, I was asking a lot of people and men, could you please read it? You've only got this much time to do it. And, that was a real eye-opener for me, was just learning how much I rely on others, and we should. Like, we're designed relationally. That's our core essence as people, as much as many people wouldn't like that. But at times in our life, we really do need to rely on each other during the good times and the bad. But one thing that really was my mindset was that I'm working with couples and individuals. I wasn't really comparing myself with the market as such in book land. It was more about, I'm really passionate about what I do. Many elements of my work are so successful. So I really wanted to capture as many people in the community or in the world as possible that might be too hesitant to go and see a counsellor, that might be challenged by their relationships, that might just be too ashamed. And I want them to be able to grab this book and privately read it. And it's a woe to go. So I wanted it to be like a journey from having a look at yourself, just checking in on the best version of yourself, because then you can't contribute to your relationship, right through all the way to repairing it and then maintaining it and right to the end. So that was my mindset, was making sure it was a complete woe to go. It still wouldn't have included every single thing, and I'm still learning, but that was what I was really trying to achieve.
Absolutely. And what I really love about your book is that it does start with the self. So, you know, where I know myself with my husband, bless him, that, you know, whenever we have an argument, I'm always looking at what he's doing wrong, and I'm not very often, and I'm sure it's 99% of the time, taking ownership for what I've done that's led us into particular circumstances. So I really love that you've started there, because it gives just so much awareness to the readers who will pick up the book that, oh, you know, there is two of us in a relationship. And I know that sounds cliche, but it's about really just having that time to reflect on, what you're bringing to the table almost.
Yeah, it's quite confronting though. Being in a relationship or being married is quite an unwarranted mirror that we get on all of our behaviours, whether they're good and bad. Yeah, and we call that the blame game. Is usually by the time I see couples about how bad it is for me, why that person is so horrible to me. That might be so, but it's also good just to check in first. And one big thing that I really do blatantly wave in front of people if they do have children is that this is worth it for them. I am here on their behalf, and I get the shivers, like, even just thinking about this. I get so excited because these children often don't have a voice. They never asked for their parents to be arguing or to contemplate separating or whatever their case is that I'm here to impact generations on their behalf, because the decisions that we make today are those that are often replicated by our children. And I don't want it to be just another generation that thinks it's okay not to hang in there, because society itself, the community, is so much better off from a solid foundation. Yes, families come in all different shapes and sizes. That's the cool thing about my job, is that they're so different. But the great thing is that we want to instill safety and security for our children, and a really solid foundation from which they can launch themselves and then mentor their kids how to have great relationships.
Excellent. No, that's amazing. And so you've put all this time in, you've contacted your beta readers, got the feedback, you know, made your tweaks and changes. Tell us what it was like to hold that first physical copy of your book in your hands.
Oh, I couldn't believe it, but I kept saying, I felt like such a weirdo. I'm like, I feel like I've just given birth. Like, I'd already done it 3 times in real life, but I don't know, because it's a pretty painful process. Like, as I said, I was kind of shocked about how long it took, how many people I needed to rely on to help me get through this process. And so I literally felt like I'll never forget the day when I opened that box. It was so exciting. That first copy even had lots of mistakes in there. I was like, really? Did I really proofread this? Did others like it? Like, even that still needed another process. But yeah. It was incredible.
Amazing. So so you may be one of the people that gets the book bug, I think, you know, with such a wide subject matter that you can tap into. There's plenty of potential for you to go again if you
I loved the fact that my topic for the Sunshine Coast Daily for 3 years in my column was literally right about relationships, and people would say, where do you get your ideas from? I'm like, I would never ever run out of topics, because it's such a broad spectrum, from parenting to being single to family to dealing with your outlaws, or I call free gifts with purchase, one of the titles from the book. But yeah, it's just such an all-encompassing part, and relationships are fundamental to our mental health and well-being. So yeah, so much to say.
Absolutely. And I know it's only been out for a few weeks now as we're chatting, but you know, people might be tapping into this many months or years into the future. But I wanted to ask what sort of feedback you've been getting from readers so far.
Well, so far the feedback that I was really focusing on was those that read the draft. And I thought it was kind of funny that they thought it was funny. But look, I don't see myself as, you know, I keep telling my kids how funny I am, and my husband. But yeah, it sounds to me that feedback is right, conversational, and it's like an easy read. But two is just, I think that is my outlook on life, is that, you know, I even say with clients, if we can't have a sense of humour, I don't think we're going to last. Like, it's the only thing that could save us at times when life is going really bad. So that's been some nice feedback, is that it's amusing and entertaining. And yeah, some people even said it's like, wow, they feel like it's almost cringeworthy because it's too close to the truth. They're like, wow, you're writing about me here. So that's kind of nice, that I'm really being able to build on the amazing clients that I've worked with for 10 years. I've heard enough stories to see too many themes that seem to be consistent through many couples and families. So it's really nice to be able to speak to people's hearts.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you had them firmly in mind as you were writing as well. So you knew who you were speaking to and communicated that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent.
There's been so much pain and so much sadness and so much adversity, but as well, you know, being able to journey with people to bring them through that and see their potential and their possibilities. Like, when things have been so bad, my line is that we can't just let this be for no reason. Our only choice is to make this as our teacher and to help us launch this to success and use it to even help others one day, even though we can't see that at the time. But I can guarantee you most people will use that to help others. So, yeah, that's encouraging and exciting for me.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's come, I think, at a really timely time in our, I guess, for the globe, really. You know, we are in the grips of a pandemic at the moment, and a lot of relationships are being put under stress. You know, either there's financial difficulties, people losing jobs, being stuck in isolation with someone. You know, as much as you love someone, that can be very challenging in itself. So I'd love to see if you could give some advice to people in regards to, you know, how you can keep those relationships strong and when we are in such difficult times.
Yeah, I think, like you said, there's financial stress, so many stresses, and it just reminded me of it's a bit like a pressure cooker. You don't realise how stressed you are until it gets really bad, or your partner's telling you how horrible or agitated you are, or you literally have a meltdown yourself. And so I think it's important to realise how what's happening in the world, uncertainty is what we thrive on, and knowing and freedom is what we thrive on as well. So just knowing that, okay, you might think you're right, but just maybe take the time to step back and what I call look at the stack and just see what might be building up for you. I, for one, you know, I wanted the homeschooling thing during the pandemic to be a positive experience, but kind of hadn't realised how much extra work it was. You know, I wanted to imagine the finishing of the book in a cabin in the woods with the birds tweeting and serenity, with music in the background, and just finishing off as I contemplated those words. But in actual fact, it was homeschooling at one end of the bench, me choosing the graphic designer and all the designs and scrambling till like midnight with one of, you know, a friend who was helping me edit the book. That was the reality of it. So just kind of realising that it's, it can be just one thing after the other that can really contribute to a relationship disrepair, again, when you're not the best version of yourself. Two other points, you know, during a pandemic, I think, is when we give of ourselves, I think we're innately designed to care for others, as much as many people might feel that they're selfish or whatever. But during your darkest, your toughest times, it's often helpful just to look outward. And I often use this as one of my depression busters. Is like, okay, we've spent many days or weeks staring at our navel, and yes, we've had adversity, and for many people, they've got good reason to be depressed. But why don't we step out and do something random, that funny little quirky, buy coffee for the next person in front of you, or just go and think of someone in your world that you could go and help. That actually lights up your brain, and it stops you focusing on the negativity in your world. And it's actually quite prolific that people report back. It's actually really, really fulfilling. And the last thing about, working as a couple is that I noticed that the couples that really flourish constantly are in alignment. Now, constantly is probably a little bit too far, because you can't, 100%, like, that is not life. It's to be 100% in love, amazing, enjoying the best dynamic Instagram relationship 100% of the time. But it's about just going, hey, how are you going? Maybe even like a structured 15-minute check-in with your partner with eye contact, because like me, it's so easy to get caught in with your husband of tag teaming with school activities. Here in Queensland at the moment, we're able to enjoy a lifestyle that we used to have. Well, similarly, school activities are back, and it really made me realise how you could just slip back into just passing ships in the night. So being really intentional about aligning yourselves with what could be coming in your world that could be, stressful, such as world events. These are the couples that know that life is not a bed of roses all the time, that everyone else's relationships isn't as perfect on social media as you think. So I think it's really like it's an insurance plan. What are we going to do if the child is this, or what are our disciplinarian, what's our structure, what's our boundaries, instead of constantly being sideswiped by adversity, because it's going to happen. And when you can really be that united front, you can achieve anything together. Yeah.
Amazing. So thank you. I'm sure everyone listening and watching would have taken away something from that. So thank you so much, Jo. So I wanted to ask you now, where do you see your book going? I mean, you've self-published, you're doing the hard yards to get it out into as many hands as you can. But what is your dream vision for your book?
My dream vision is to inspire relationships that impact generations is kind of my mission statement. But I want to also team up with some online courses. As I mentioned, I've found it quite frustrating just to, I can only work with so many people at one time, and so I really want to couple the book with some online courses. So, and that's where we're all at. We're all doing online courses. Well, a lot of people are. So yeah, that's really exciting next project. I've always got a next project on the go, so that's currently what's on the top of my list. I also upload lots of free things anyway. So on my website, relationshiprejuvenator.com, there's a resources page, so you can do a self-evaluation quiz, and you can do a what's your relationship status quiz. There's worksheets about your personal values, great date ideas, little quirky things, conversation starters. There's so much there. So I want to share as much as I can for free, but yeah, I'll also do some paid courses to dive deeper into achieving relationship success that then is sustainable. Yeah.
Excellent. Amazing. Now, I ask this question of everyone who comes on the show, and obviously it's called the Phoenix phenomenon. So it's about a type of transformation, and that can take very many different forms. And, I don't think any two authors have ever responded the same way. But I wanted to ask you, and you've already mentioned that, learning is a big part of what lights you up. So what is it that you've learned about yourself or about your business in the process of becoming an author?
How much I rely on others, and it's okay to do so. I like to think I'm super independent and can do it all, but it's everything that I'm telling my clients, and it really applied to me. And the second thing is that I'm not as good as proofreader as I thought.
We can't all be awesome at everything.
I'm sure I read that line and I'm sure it made sense before. Where did that spelling error come from? Yeah. I think there's a gremlin in my computer that kept making mistakes. Yeah.
All right. Oh, dear. Hopefully you can track it down.
Yeah. Maybe it's got a virus.
Yeah. Oh dear, don't say that.
I'll stick it in quarantine for a couple of weeks and see if it's any better.
Yeah. you probably will need some downtime after all that hard work. So
yeah, actually, my mother-in-law said, Jo, you must feel so relaxed after writing the book and having it finished. And it's quite the opposite. Like now it's kind of the enthusiasm to, you know, I'm at night, I'm posting books excitedly and then building these online courses. Yeah, it's actually busier than ever. So yeah, and then responding to some great, you know, exciting opportunities like I get to talk to you. Yeah, and a shout out to you as well. I think, Roxy, you were a great helper at the start. Like it was wonderful, I think, when we had met at a public speaking course, and just to be able to go, okay, I need to get this thing started, and you really helped me launch the scaffolding. So yeah, shout out to people like you in this world who can help people like me launch our passion to success.
Amazing. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you, Jo. Excellent.
My pleasure.
Cool. And so you can tell I get uncomfortable when people say some nice things about me, isn't that interesting?
Oh, we can do a couple of sessions on that for free, I reckon.
Yeah, thank you.
The art of accepting compliments.
I know, yes. Thank you very much. Awesome. So as this is all about writing and becoming an author, I would love to find out what your top tip is for people who are listening or watching. What your top tip is. If they're sitting on the fence, they're not quite sure if they want to, you know, take the leap, or maybe they're halfway through and they haven't completed. What pearls of wisdom would you give to them to keep them motivated and get them taking action?
I think it's just to push past the fear. It's the thing that knocks us on the head more than I've seen. That's the biggest theme in the counselling room, is to know your worth, check in that self-talk and push past the fear. I even remember establishing my counselling business. I knew that I was good at it in deep down, but you had to kind of almost, get rid of the naysayers that said, oh, you won't get business or blah, 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 that you know that you're good at it deep down. So we're all created uniquely, miraculously, and we have incredible talents. We have such amazing, unique mosaic brains. So use it. And I think that's what lights up that fulfillment in everybody, is that when you're finding that that topic that is yours and you know that you're good at it deep down, really listen to that self-talk and make sure that it's nurturing and that is a can-do newsreel more than anything. So yeah, push past that monster of fear.
Excellent. I love that. Thank you, Jo. And you have mentioned your website already, but I did want to give you an opportunity to, just share a bit more about how people can access your beautiful book. So I'll hold it up again there. So Renovate Your Relationship. So how people can get their hands on a copy of this beautiful book and to get in touch with you if they want to discover more.
Yeah, so the book link is the.relationshiprejuvenator.com, and if you want to check out the free resources, that's just relationshiprejuvenator.com. But if you want to head straight to the book, add the.relationshiprejuvenator.com/book at the end. That would help get right to it. So yeah.
Excellent. That's wonderful. So definitely make sure that you reach out. As Jo mentioned, there's plenty of amazing resources you can get stuck into. I believe that this is going to be a really great book to have in the bookshelf or next to the bed because you never know when you might need some amazing wisdom, and Jo's compiled so many years of knowledge and experience working with real life couples as well to create a resource that's going to be absolutely amazing for all couples or people looking to have a relationship, I might add.
Yes, prepare yourself for your next best relationship. That's a really good idea. Yeah,
exactly.
Some people have, someone I know said, okay, I failed so many times before, maybe this will help. So as she was preparing herself for her next great relationship.
Amazing. No, that's perfect. All right, well, thank you so much for your time today, Jo. It was amazing to connect with you and for you to share so much amazing knowledge with our viewers today. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you for helping me spread the love.
Absolutely. It's what I love to do. So